We are back for more Spooky Sunday. Be watching another Wartime Stories. Soldiers said they encountered something.
With its picturesque, gently rolling hills, dark forests, and Gothic castles, it's no surprise that Germany has served as the backdrop for some of literature's most iconic fairy tales. Drawing on the incredibly rich folklore of their native land, authors like Jacob and Willem Grimm brought to life timeless stories of evil witches, noble heroes, beautiful princesses, and terrible monsters. Such stories were born out of a time when man-eating wolves took on public personas as being the reincarnation of evil men, such as the wolf who terrified the people of Ansbach in 1865 until they captured him, dressed him in a man's clothes, and then hung him like a criminal. It's no surprise then that in many
Wait, where did werewolves originated? I kinda wanna know. It's from a Greek story. Okay, so I guess it's originated from Greek first. Greece.
Children's tales, the malevolent force often comes in the form of a devious wolf. To better aid in its deceptive ways, the wolf will often mask its evil intentions by adopting a physical disguise, or most interestingly, shapeshifting, to assume the form of a normal man. We see this in many German folk tales, like the werewolf of Andernach, the werewolf of Ponkert, and the white wolf of the Harz Mountains. Stories about men being afflicted with lycanthropy because they have been cursed. But fantastic stories of supernatural beings lurking in European forests are of course only believable when read to small children. Certainly.
When we're adults, we don't even believe it anymore? That's so sad. You believe in magic, right? Like before this, our skin, I know you guys said not to say the name or it will appear. So I'ma just call it the Walkers. I wanted to call it the SK, but it reminds me too much of SK2, so never mind. So like before this is the Walkers, and one of you said that they rather it's been called the Shapeshifters. Now you have it. There's your Shapeshifter today. So this time the video is about werewolves, shapeshifting.
Believable when read to small children.
I think.
Certainly, such creatures have long been understood to be figments of human imagination. Why then do the following stories from military-aged men serving in various regions of Germany over the last 40 years seem to cast doubt on that presumption?
But there's still
to the contrary,
werewolves there?
These men insist they saw something that terrified them out of their wits. For want of a better word, because the creatures they saw vary in appearance, we might call them shapeshifters. But the Germans might call them by another name, Aufhocker. In essence, at least according to the Kurpai people of neighboring Poland, a skinwalker.
Oh, it's the same.
This is a smoke pit.
Like a same race. Do you call it a race? The same category of it.
And these are true stories of skinwalkers in Germany.
They're in Germany too. They're everywhere. I have a story about Tool, but I'll tell it later. Claw marks
on the
generator. Generator, how dare, that's expensive.
Sergeant. Cadet Schaefer. How did the repairs go? Did you manage to get some fixed? Negative, Sergeant. Perhaps you would need to come and see this. The generator has been damaged, Sergeant. Damaged?
I love the accent. Go ahead.
By what? I'm not sure, Sergeant. It looks like it was slashed. Maybe an animal or something? The steel. An animal? Jawohl, Sergeant. I wasn't sure what to make of it, but so it's damaged and you're unable to repair it. Affirmative.
Any Germans in the comments, is this accent accurate or nah?
Sergeant, what can we do?
What can we do?
The most we can do is tell the base comment and put someone to guard the door. have the generator
I like the and became und.
replaced. Good thing reporting this, Cadet Schaefer, but back to training with you. I'll handle this.
Yes, Sergeant, of course.
Why they sound so scared?
The following account was
They
shared
know
with
already.
the paranormal scholar by a man named Adolf Schaefer, a soldier who, at the time of his writing, was serving in the German Bundeswehr, the armed forces. Considering he uses the term East Germany, but provides no exact date, the first impression we got was that his story took place in possibly the 80s, before the German reunification, after the Berlin Wall fell. However, considering he also stated that he was a Feldwebel, or sergeant, at the time of his writing, which had to have been submitted in the last 10 years, it also gives the impression that the story has taken place much more recently. So perhaps he simply meant he was training in the east of Germany, in the same way an American soldier might say that they are stationed in the eastern United States.
I thought it's
Whatever
way
the
back
case,
then.
he recounts to us an unnerving encounter he had during his time in basic training. He writes, "I am not easily scared. When my experience occurred, I was a cadet in boot camp in East Germany.
Boot camp. Before this, I asked what boot. Why is it called? Why the people are called boot when they're newbies? Because of boot camp. So they are all called boot.
In East Germany. It was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Very creative.
We were doing drill courses, whilst the base was having technical problems with the electric grid, which was uncommon considering it had just been inspected days earlier, and nothing I noticed that time was really that odd. Except a few of us kept hearing these eerie, unexplainable noises coming from one of the head buildings nearby, where the water is kept during 5-minute breaks. But skip ahead a few hours to around 8 o'clock. The power was going in and out again, and the drill sergeant had told me and 3 others to go fix it. So me and the others grabbed flashlights and tools and went to the basement where the generators were located. We found the first backup generator, and it was turned off, but operable as expected. It was the same with the second generator. The third generator was the largest main source of power on the base. The first thing I noticed were the scratches. This seemingly super hard to break hunk of metal
They
had
scratched
what
the
I
third
think
one, the main
were
one.
scratches and cuts, claw marks, piercing its outer metal shell like a buzzsaw. So deep, the scratches had cut the cords inside and had damaged the batteries as though they were paper. After a moment of
I see, the shapeshifters really hate the electrotherapy. Or they are that desperate to get the electrotherapy.
batteries, as though they were paper. After a moment of thinking, I knew this couldn't have been a person doing this, seeing as nothing any cadet had could cut through that tough metal so easily. I immediately rushed up the stairs to tell my drill sergeant, hoping he would know what to do.
Oh, he's the one that told.
He told me the most we can do is tell base command and put someone to guard the door and have the generator replaced. Good thing reporting this, Cadet Schaefer. Schaefer, after receiving a pat on the back and commendation for his report, was then told to resume his daily training activities, which went without further incident. Still, the nonchalance displayed by his sergeant at being told that someone, or some kind of animal, had ripped through one of the base's power generators did little to quell the young cadet's concerns. At best, there was an apparent saboteur running amok on their base. At worst, well, he didn't like to think about it.
Some creature.
As the sun set and the cadets retired to their bunks, Schaefer must have drifted off into what was an uneasy sleep. And it
Why did it become a third person? Before this, it was the first person. What happened?
didn't last long. He continues.
The POV change.
Some hours later, sometime in the night, I can't be exactly sure when, I heard scratching noises.
Look at
but
that.
not from the basement. They were too close and too loud, as if they were in the sleeping quarters. After that moment of realization, I open my eyes and I look around. And I saw what I thought was someone in the corner going through a bag. But when I looked around the rest of the room, sheer terror came into me because all the other bunks were full. Every one. So I thought to myself, wait, the hell? But then, as if it had heard what I was thinking, this thing, what I thought was a person in the corner, turned to face me.
Well, I'm blocking
it. Was pale gray, with no nose,
Voldemort.
And had claws.
Oh no, it's scratching me. Yada. I'm sorry.
Like
it was just too good of a position to be in.
This thing was skinny and at least 2 feet taller than my 6-foot self.
It's grabbing my head.
After that, I just froze in a blank stare of horror, and in my mind, seconds turned to minutes, minutes to hours, hours turned into what felt like days. Ultimately, I think I passed out in terror.
It looks like it has rabies. Help! I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop.
Because all I remember after that is waking up to my buddies and Sergeant looking at me while talking to me, telling me I looked sick. And I felt sick too. Like all energy from me was drained for days on end. I swear, during my entire military career, I have never been so afraid since that night.
I would too. I would too, and I think everyone would too. Unless it's like Halloween or something. And it's all fake. Or maybe April Fools.
Even in my own mundane military experience, being in the Marines, boot camp can get weird at night. Sleeping in a large open squad bay with a concrete floor, we would always hear the occasional recruit crying in his sleep or waking up suddenly and screaming, "Aye, aye, sir." But after a long day of marching, studying, and generally being run into the ground every day by our drill instructors, sleep was a precious thing to have. The only things that ever woke me up were severe leg cramps, needing to use the head, or having a red light shined in my eyes and being told, "Hey, you got fire watch." There was a time when the drill instructors started screaming at a kid who they caught writing letters to his girlfriend while sitting on the toilet.
No!
There was a guy in the bunk next to mine. He had caught pink eye, like most of us, and they'd given him some saline eye drops to kind of help alleviate it. Well, he woke up with his eyes all crusty, I guess, in the middle of the night, and went to reach for his eye drop bottle. He grabbed a small bottle of rifle cleaning fluid, and he put that in his eye. I thought somebody was stabbing him, right? He's screaming like crazy. And we also had one strange guy, which I think...
Why did he even put it, like, beside his eye drop?
I think every platoon must have. Once the lights were off, it was probably the first week we were in boot camp, I heard this shh, 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 like this weird sound, and I turn over the side of my bunk to see what the sound is, because it's getting closer, and I see this guy pop out, basically upside down from my perspective, from underneath the bunk next to me.
Huh?
I was the last bunk on the row, so he's made it all the way to the end, and he's like Spider-Manning himself underneath the bunks, like dragging his back across the floor. I was like, why?
Why?
What are you doing? Like, go to bed.
I know.
And he just smiles at me and he goes, "Hey," and proceeds to pull himself back under the bed and then disappear.
Huh? He just said hey and then we...
Pull himself back under the bed and then disappear. I don't even remember in my mind who it was. Like, you'd think that I was probably very tired, but you'd think you'd remember, like, which guy was that? Like, the next day. I don't remember. But
it's dark.
Yeah, it was just some weird guy in our platoon that would do that on a nightly basis. Harmless,
nightly basis.
Still creepy. With respect to Sergeant Schaefer, He also said that he was awoken by something making noise in his berthing that night.
Birthing?
And like the
What
stories
is he
I shared,
birthing?
regardless of how bizarre it was, he assures us that he's certain of what he saw. But like many unexplained encounters, I don't doubt that this will be written off by many as a dream. We've all had nightmares that felt as if we were truly living them, and what a relief,
True.
right, it was to finally wake up. It doesn't explain what he saw previously in the day, along with 2 other cadets, and reported to his drill sergeant about the generator being slashed open. But for the sake of argument, even if it was merely a dream or perhaps a vision of some kind, such a surreal experience is arguably no less terrifying. But we will come to find out that Schaefer's experience is not at all that unique.
There's a
Delving
lot
into the
more.
vast realm of German legends and folklore, we come upon a creature known locally as the Aufhocker. Said to be found skulking in the night around bridges, cemeteries, and forest paths, the Aufhocker, or Huck-Up, is a malevolent demonic entity that is known to take many physical forms.
What
In
does it
regional
do?
tales, the Aufhocker is said to be a huge, black, vampiric dog, which walks on its hind legs and singles out those people who travel alone at
Like it's like the child between a vampire and a werewolf. Holy.
night. Depending on its chosen prey,
The
however,
irony.
the Aufhocker will morph its size and shape accordingly in order to overpower their helpless victim. Beyond its wolfish facade, this entity has also been known to assume other physical forms, including that of a beautifully seductive woman. Sounds like the kitsune in the Japanese lore, something like that.
Oh no.
And the gray, ghoulish appearance of an undead corpse. Its name, translated from German as leap upon, is indicative of the demon's preferred method of attack. Once
Like
their
an
target is
animal.
chosen, often a criminal, thief, or some sort of wrongdoer, the Aufhocker will jump onto their backs, latching on with an unbreakable death grip. Their prey, caught off guard and panicked, will soon be drained of all energy in their attempts to resist. Just ties in with what Schaefer said about losing all of his energy, at least in some respect. Considering the creatures are said to have some perception of a person's criminal history, this would seem to merely be a work of fiction, meant to instill superstitious fears in children at a young age of the dangers of walking alone at night, and
In the woods.
certainly to stop them from stealing. In other renditions, however, the creatures are far more animalistic in their bloodlust. After latching onto their victim's back, instead of gradually wearing them down, the
Only
Aufhocker will
latching?
use its claws and fangs to maul the defenseless human's throat,
They're gonna
ripping
chomp
it
you.
to shreds as their target then drowns in their own blood. While looking into this malevolent
That's
entity
evil.
commonly spoken of in Germanic folklore, it does make
Dang, so do they even eat their prey or they just like the kill?
Adolf Schaefer's story all the more intriguing. With the creature's ghoulish appearance, combined with its notable set of claws, as recalled in the sergeant's story, we must ask what interest would such a creature have in prowling German military bases and slashing their generators? But if the next story is worth its salt, it would appear that such creatures are by no means strangers to encounters with people who spend all hours of the day and night working in remote areas. And by
It's
that, of
all
course,
in
I
the
mean
remote
military
areas.
personnel.
Maybe the people in the village will also know about this.
Hey guys, because of your
hello.
support, the last few years have been an incredible run
The
for the
first
channel.
time
And I
seeing
just wanted to be
him.
the first here today to announce that I have finally launched the Wartime Stories podcast. Together with the help of Ballin Studios, you guys know Mr. Ballin, right? Navy
Yeah.
SEAL veteran, teller of the strange, dark, and mysterious in story format. We've remastered episodes of Wartime Stories for audio only. Now, while you might say, well, can I just continue to watch here on YouTube? Of course, absolutely.
Is it like the same?
But with the assistance of Ballin Studios' incredible team, I am also able to produce exclusive episodes for the podcast that you won't be able to get anywhere else. We've also got a brand new episode up right now. You guys don't understand how exciting this is for me. For years, I've been sitting on this mountain of stories that I'm just itching to tell, and now I finally can. So, if you don't want to miss anything strange, dark, and mysterious told in the Wartime Stories format, please make sure that you subscribe here and are following the podcast. The style of the episodes will remain the same as they are here exactly. There's just going to be a lot of new, amazing stories that you haven't heard yet that we will be covering in the coming weeks, and new episodes will be dropping every Monday. Rest assured, our team is going to continue to bring you the type of animated stories that you love on YouTube, and now both remastered and exclusive audio episodes on the podcast as well. So make sure you go to any platform you get your podcasts and gently smash the follow button on the Wartime Stories podcast. Again, there are episodes up right now, including a brand new podcast exclusive about terrifying paranormal military encounters that you haven't heard yet. And trust me, you'll want to hear this one and the others that are coming down the pike. So make sure you go follow the Wartime Stories podcast, and please leave a rating and a review on the podcast if you can too. It really does help. Again, new episodes will drop every Monday. Thank you to all of my loyal viewers and now listeners of Wartime Stories.
Let's go! Podcast.
The Night Stag.
I really like hearing podcasts during office hours. When you're working and like your superior doesn't call you a lot. When you're just working alone in the office, yeah, the podcast is the best. Oh, another deer.
Sometimes
oh,
I think
dear.
I should be a pilot. Hey, flying cabs must be nice.
You'd think so, but
Flying
I don't have
cabs.
the brains for it. And as I say, it's not a matter of if you crash, it's when.
Yeah, truer words.
Well, but
Sage advice. You seen the new flick yet? Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I haven't. I've been meaning to take the wife once we're off rotation. Why? You seen it? How was
well,
it?
it became
It's
like
not bad. It's got that Han Solo bloke in it, and Connery.
the British
Nazis.
accent.
I'll have to just wait till you find out. I shouldn't spoil it for you, but you are not going to...
Oh.
Hang on a minute.
What is it? Something about the film?
No.
What? What's wrong?
Do you see that? Over
Where?
there, by the tree line about 80 meters out.
Who the hell is that?
More like, what
This one?
the hell is that?
It's got to be a person. Standing upright. Costume or something.
It's way too early for Halloween, mate. That's an animal of some kind.
In the early 1980s, the Cold War, now simmering for the better part of 40 years, had the forces of NATO and the Soviet Union teetering on the edge of an all-out war, while looming hypothetical World War III was largely thought to be determined by the thousands of nuclear warheads leveled at one another across the Iron Curtain. The armies of the free world at this time deployed millions of troops to Western Europe. Working alongside regional and international allies, these troops prepared and trained for this coming war, intending to be the rock that would break the coming red tide. For a young British soldier named Francis, all of this only meant countless hours of overnight drills.
For some reason, I feel bad for the soldiers because they need to go to war and also encounter all this weird stuff.
In preparation for a mighty struggle that would ultimately never come. On one such night in 1981, Francis, then stationed in West Germany, tells us that he found himself in an open field some 60 miles south of the city of Detmold. With the help of another soldier, these two men were tasked with establishing an HLZ, a helicopter landing zone, in order for their unit's squadron to practice some routine night touch-and-goes, landings and takeoffs. That afternoon, they arrived at this field, which was commonly used for military exercises, and went about the procedures as they had done dozens of times before without incident. As it got dark and the crickets came out, the stillness of the night was only occasionally interrupted by the comings and goings of the helicopters. With little else to do but to stand by the field and observe these helicopter exercises until they were concluded, Francis and his friend did what all true Brits do when they had a bit of downtime. They made tea and casual conversation, something to keep them warm against the chilly night air. As yet one more helicopter touched down and lifted back off into the sky, the sound of its rotor blades rippling off into the distance, the two Tommies were once again left alone on the desolate landing zone, or so they thought. Around 1:30 a.m., as the two men eagerly awaited for the arrival of the final helicopter so they could pack up and leave, one of the men spotted something on the far side of the landing zone. Francis recounts what he saw. I looked to where he was pointing, and standing on the edge of the woods, about 80 meters across the clearing, was a figure. It was a full moon, so it was quite bright and stood out easy to see. It stood on two legs, about 7 or 8 feet tall. It had yellow eye shine, and the body kind of shimmered in the moonlight. It made no sound, and it just really put the shits up us. It just stood there, watching us. We then heard the last cab getting closer to us, coming in for a landing, and at that point, this thing then dropped onto all fours and backed back into the woods.
It's observing its prey.
As soon as that cab left, we packed up and were out of there. We had a track to drive down to get back to the main road, and we must have done that at 60 miles an hour to get out of there. We never said anything to anyone, as it's not the thing to do. Brave soldier fighting the Russian hordes, but being frightened of the woods is not the image you want to give. But after that night, I avoided doing night landing sites and never felt comfortable in the woods on exercises doing night stags. We both know what we saw and didn't imagine it. I know Germany has a lot of werewolf and cryptid stories, but that night, I got well and truly shit scared and can remember it like it was last night.
At least they saw it from afar. Imagine it just suddenly got on all fours and ran towards you.
Lying in wait.
A predator. But it's
For many paranormal enthusiasts or those fascinated by cryptozoology, the creatures supposedly encountered in these two stories will almost certainly ring familiar with another infamous, malevolent supernatural being commonly spoken of in Native American lore. It would seem that the Skinwalker, despite being half a world away from the American mainland, shares more than a few similarities with the feared Skinwalker, and possibly even another creature known as a rake or pale crawler. Skinwalkers are described as evil beings or corrupt witches that have the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as animals.
Okay, before I forgot, I have a story to share from a video. The story takes place at Taiwan. The man was riding his motorcycle and enjoying the night scenery. He could see the ocean at his right and the hills at his left. Then he stopped by for a smoke. While he was smoking, the corner of his eyes caught something moving in the tall grass at the hill. I wish I can move my hands, but nah. Anyways, the tall grass is moving as if something is maneuvering in the grass. Down towards the hill and towards him, he stared at it. When it came out, he described it, and I quote, "It was like someone who is very skinny with very long limbs, not wearing anything, and because it was at night, he could only see the black and gray silhouette of it. But it looked like a human on all fours, but very long all fours. The first thing he thought was, what the heck is that thing? And because it was on the road, unmoving, but its head is facing towards him, As he was still making sense of what it is, doesn't really look like a dog, it's too tall to be a dog. The thing slowly moved towards him. Soon, its movement started to pick up. This person instantly got onto his bike. He doesn't care to wear his helmet or gloves. Started the engine and just go. Still smoking, by the way. He didn't have the time to throw away his smoke. As he was speeding forward, naturally you will look at your rear view mirror, right? He saw that thing run faster and faster. So he just accelerated more. It was chasing him. He could only see that it was reddish in color because of his tail light. But that night he successfully escaped it. One day when he was scrolling through his Facebook, he saw the exact creature people from overseas posted. Then he knew the name of it. He posted his encounter, and someone from that area, he ignored all the other 1,000 comments and because he just remembered that one comment from people from that area. He encountered the thing. They told him that their elders always told them to stay away from the beach at night because there's a creature that will catch people and eat people. I think my voice did not do this story justice because when I was listening to the story that person told, I got goosebumps, but I don't think I can make do with his voice.
While there are certainly some differences between the Skinwalkers and their German counterparts, in a world rife with strange, dark, and mysterious encounters, they certainly seem to be cut from the same demonic cloth. This is all the more interesting when considering the vast geographic and cultural differences of these entities, which has no less garnered the attention of paranormal enthusiasts and investigators. One such person, a British author by the name of Lee Brickley, was keen to discover the shared connections various shape-shifting entities had in seemingly unconnected cultures all over the world.
Yeah.
He recounted his many findings
Even
in his
in
book
Taiwan.
entitled Skinwalkers. Travel
To be honest, I've never really heard of it over here. Maybe I did at some point of my life, but I don't think I remember. Maybe over here we have those two. It's just called another name.
traveling to Germany to follow up on leads of a few supposed shapeshifter encounters, Brickley found himself in the company of a man named Stefan Richter, who, alongside his family in late 2020, claimed to have also encountered one of these nefarious beings while walking in the woods. Stefan, along with his wife and 2 young children, were getting ready to go for one of their morning walks along the trails in the Brehan forest near their home in Brandenburg, which is just a few miles from the center of Berlin. Oddly enough, Stefan's children, usually enthusiastic about adventuring in the outdoors, apparently woke up that morning with a strange aversion to the forest. He recalls,
Why?
The children usually love our walks in the forest. It is their happy place, but something was different.
It's not my happy place.
It was almost as if they were scared of something. Both were quiet and reserved, and
you still bring
neither
them?
wanted to venture far away from us. It was very out of character for them to act that way. Despite concern that his children may be coming down with some sort of illness, the family continued with their morning ritual. After all, what better remedy is there for a common cold than a couple of hours breathing in some fresh air? And so the Richter family made their way to the Brehan forest, setting off on their trek along a narrow, winding path. As they walked further into the woods, the canopy overhead grew denser, shrouding the family below in darkness. And although Stephen couldn't quite define it, something in the woods, unseen or unheard, now had him on edge.
Oh, he felt a stare?
It was his wife that saw it first, freezing in her tracks.
They actually saw it, okay.
Her eyes fixed at a nearby point in the surrounding trees. When asked what was wrong, Stefan's wife, in a shaking voice, said that there was someone watching them from a point beyond the trees. When asked what was wrong, Stefan's wife, in a shaking voice, told him. He said, "She stopped dead in her tracks and told me there was someone watching us from beyond the trees. I couldn't see anyone, so I told her, no, not to worry." The children seemed to be getting more upset, though, and a few minutes later, my wife saw the figure in the distance for a second time and refused to continue walking.
Yeah, walk back.
Stefan told his family to stay put and then walked ahead to see if he could see anyone for himself.
No, walk back.
And he did. He said, he was a huge man, crouching down with what looked like an entire wolf skin draped over his head, shoulders, and back. He looked like something out of a Viking movie.
Like they were all crouching down. Even the story that was told, they all have something in common. Like they like on all fours.
I took a few steps closer, but I stood on a stick
Standing on
that
all
snapped
fours.
and made a loud noise. The figure in front of me turned around in an instant, and I could see that it wasn't entirely human. The eyes were bright yellow. It looked straight at me before transforming in front of my very eyes. It was almost as if the wolf skin the creature wore grew over its entire body in seconds. It changed from a man into a wolf, and then began running towards myself and my family. I carry a hunting knife, and all I could think to do was to throw it in the direction of the beast. While he wasn't sure if he hit the thing or not, throwing
it specifically changed into a wolf to chase them. It reminds me of like those, what do you call that? I don't think there's a name for it. It's like maybe like those Harry Potter movies where if you want to fly, you can turn into an owl or a bird. And if you want to chase something, you can turn into an animal with 4 legs like a wolf or a cheetah, something like that. Specific animals have specific uses, kind of like that.
The knife at it was apparently enough to send this unearthly creature running back deeper into the woods.
Useful.
Leaving the knife behind, Stefan and his wife, scooping up their terrified children, tore out of the woods as fast as they could, lest this wolf, or whatever it was, chose to come back. While the story itself was quite outlandish, Brickley, having spent the better part of the last few days with the family, had come to trust them. If anything, Stefan's retelling seemed to take an emotional toll on the man, clearly calling up a memory that he would much rather leave buried. With the Rahan forest a mere 5 minutes down the road from the Richter household, Brickley inquired about possibly going to the site where they encountered the shapeshifter.
Oh, you want
Stefan
him
reluctantly
to bring you?
agreed, and then led Brickley into the woods.
You're such a brave soul, Stefan. If it's me, I'm gonna be like, oh, just follow these little narrow pathways and towards how many meters in front of you. You might find the knife that I threw too. Like, good luck, bye, I'm not following you.
Much to their surprise, they found the very hunting knife that he had talked about. And chillingly, its blade was covered in the unmistakable stain of dried blood.
Oh,
Realizing
DNA, please,
that they
let's
may
go.
very well be in the possession of some sort of cryptid DNA, Brickley said that he insisted on finding a local blood lab and having the knife tested.
Yeah.
Not realizing at first that they might inadvertently be suspected of murder if the knife was found with human blood, the final results of the blood tests were otherwise just as baffling as they were terrifying.
What blood was
the
it?
blood lab technician was confused. According to the private company that had tested the blood samples, the DNA didn't match any animal native to German soil. In fact, it didn't seem to come from any known animal in their extensive database.
Whoa!
The closest DNA match, at 96%, was that of the steppe wolf. However, the species was almost entirely confined to the region of Siberia, the other side of the continent of Asia.
Wow,
She told them such an animal being sighted should be immediately reported to
Siberia, so there has to be another part of these stories that takes place at Russia.
The authorities.
Maybe?
Still, she said there were notable discrepancies in its DNA profile that prohibited experts from definitively identifying it.
Like, it's not even human
In the
blood.
end, the two men and the DNA experts were at a complete loss.
Oh wait, I wanna see what does the steep wolf look like? How do you even spell it? Steep wolf? Steep wolf? Oh, steppe wolf. It looks just like any other wolf. Yippee. I can't tell the difference. The wolf migrated.
During his travels, Brickley would encounter more than a handful of individuals in Germany who would share similar stories to Stefan's. Embarking on an excursion to Poland with a local man, he met the man's sister, Elsa, who lived shoulder to shoulder with the indigenous Kurpai people in the White Wilderness Forest. In their culture, they believed that such shape-shifting creatures descended from the stars many thousands of years ago, establishing themselves all over the world. The White Wilderness Forest, she explained, served as a sort of portal for these creatures to easily access the human world in greater numbers, much akin to what Skinwalker Ranch is in America.
A little bit too fantasy.
According to her husband, a Kurpai native, the American Skinwalker and the beings stalking the forest were one in the same. Elsa would warn Brickley that, much like the Navajo and Hopi tribes in America, the Kurpai rarely share such tales with outsiders, fearing that the attention brought to such creatures will only increase their power, and that it is best just to ignore them.
Just don't believe
Considering
them.
more than a few people have reported encountering such entities, what can we say? With its many dark forests, long rumored to harbor every kind of evil thing, could the many centuries of children's fables attributed to Germany have some shred of truth to them? While these encounters are of course not exclusive to those,
or like maybe one of the fables gave birth to these creatures. Who knows? It's like those movies. Like the more you believe it, the more it's real kind of thing.
serving in the military, it would seem at least a couple of soldiers would say that there is. With regard to their accounts, fantastical and otherworldly as they seem, perhaps they are telling us the truth. That the world is far stranger than we could have imagined.
Exciting. Available. Oh, the spelling is like this. They all kinda look the same. Oh, I'm blocking this one. Yeah, they all kinda look the same. I actually was about to say, you're so thin, go eat more. But they kinda eat humans, so never mind. Stay slim, yay. Easy to find clothes, yeah. Thank you for watching. Feel free to share your story if you're okay with it. I will see you tomorrow for Monday Files, where we learn stuff. Bye-bye!